Yes, at the last audit committee meeting, we had spoken to the committee, and our external auditor was present, that we did have issues in completing our CAFR. Mainly the issues were the interface between our billing system and our financial system, that in order for us to provide certain reports and information, and also to give the auditors where we are as far as the receivables and what's unbillable, we were not able to get that information and get the correct information because of the problems with that interface. So we did have some other issues. The legislative auditor requested various more specific policies and procedures. We are in the process. We do have a consultant that's helping us with the policies and procedures so that we can document those, have them in place. And we are having another external auditor help us with the interface with Cogsdale and our financial system. And because of that, we have asked for an extension from the legislative. We're in the process of asking for an extension from the legislative auditor. One of the things is that system that was, the software system that was implemented, really should have been tested in the past. I don't think it was sufficiently tested. The training provided for staff was not sufficient, so we've had to come back and provide additional training to existing staff on how to use the system. And frankly, both Ms. Russell and myself actually reviewed the system, and it's not user-friendly. It's very, it's hard to navigate and to process and actually know how to read those reports that they provide. And it's usually one of the problems that we have is that we had our own internal system that was provided and developed for us, and we moved to an off-the-shelf system. So certain reports that were required, certain procedures that we followed, we had to pretty much adjust to this off-the-shelf system, and we had issues because of that. And so that's where we are. We will be submitting a request for an extension. The most that we can have is a 90-day extension, so we must complete it probably before that. We're hoping to finish it in July, the end of July, and we're trying to make sure that we meet those deadlines.
The committee agrees that a request for an extension is in order and in the best interest of our organization. One of the things that I'm just going to request is that when that letter is drafted, that members of the audit committee receive that draft as well.
Absolutely.
I had a couple of questions.
Yes.
Who's a consultant that's helping us, training us?
So we have a couple of, there are a number of consultants who are I think, working on these issues. So one, on the policy side, the policies and procedures, I don't know if that's what your question is about.
No, I thought there was a consultant to help us operate the software. Did I misunderstand that?
So I'll give you the full kind of landscape. Cogsdale is the provider of the system.
Right.
Cogsdale, this was during Marcy's tenure, came in and kind of looked at the lay of the land, what we were doing, what we weren't doing, provided some feedback, provided some recommendations, which honestly were, consisted of getting updated systems from Cogsdale, which comes with a price tag. Right. We also have the TMG a consulting group who has been working with us on, and I met with them last week, I believe. They've done a really good job at drafting initial drafts of policies, or I should say SOPs, for a number of different departments, including customer service. We also have a consulting group, Blue Drop, who has come in to work with our billing and customer service departments on more forward-facing training on the customer service side. That is 3. I probably have another 4 or 5 to add to them, but those are kind of the big areas that we're working on.
Cogsdale, the people who made the billing software, though?
Yes.
They did, and honestly, what I would recommend and request is really to have a meeting with Cogsdale that includes some of our board members to talk about some of the concerns. You know, I based on information that I've gotten from staff, I know that we haven't done all the things that we're supposed to do on our end, but they certainly have some room for improvement as well in servicing us. Because we have not only the billing issues through the Cogsdale system, but honestly, many of the issues that we have in terms of not being able to meet the audit deadline is because we have two systems within Cogsdale that are not, and correct me if I'm wrong, are not talking to each other. And because of that, that makes it very difficult for our external auditors to come in and get the information and capture the information they need for auditing purposes. And so again, my recommendation would be that you all be included in this meeting, next round of meetings with Cogsdale, to figure out where we are. In the meantime, I don't know if Marina mentioned this, but we're having to bring in an additional external audit team to come in and do journal entries, manual journal entries on our behalf in order to get us in position to complete the audit. And so that is a significant lift, which is one of the reasons why we're needing the extension. So we have a path, you know, to get to where we need to get. But we still need to be moving forward very aggressively. We have, you know, the request would be for 90 days. There's no guarantee that we'll get it, but we feel good about getting it based on the existing circumstances. But we can't, you know, we can't be in a position to use all 90 days.
I've been asking provocative questions, which I don't really mean to. What if we don't get it?
If we don't get it, we'll be late on our audit, number one, and number two, what are the implications of that? You know, it could affect some of our funding, right? It could have some long-term effects on our funding. It could also, whether we get it or not, it will have implications on our ability to get future extensions if needed. We haven't had the need for an extension before now. But again, it could have some impact on that as well. So it could have a funding impact and an ability to get future extensions.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anything else, Marina?
No, ma'am.